Hi, I'm Sophie-Maude Turner. I'm 21 years old and I live with OCD, autism, ADHD and Tourette's. Today I'm having a specifically very ADHD day. The pro is that you'll see like my full ADHD side and not being able to like process anything that you're asking me or not understanding your questions. You might not get like the answers that you're looking for because I might answer a completely different thing that's unrelated to your question.
Well, we want full noise, you.
Yeah.
So that,
Yeah, full noise. I released my first song December 2020, 5 years ago, nearly, which is crazy. I have about 11 songs on my Spotify. My song Take Me Away got to #1 on the Hot Singles chart for Kiwi music, which was so cool. And it got number 12 in New Zealand. So that was like with all the international songs as well, which I was really happy about. And then I had another song, Vertigo, that got 12 on the Kiwi charts. But yeah. I don't know what else to say, I lost my train of thought. Morning.
Hello.
Hello, how are you?
I'm good, how are you?
I'm good, thank you very much.
How's your eye?
Getting there, a bit sore, but a bit freaky looking.
Yeah.
Some dinner, bean jar.
Thank you.
So have you been all right?
Yeah, I've been good.
Have you started your meds back up again with the...
Nah, and I'm like, the past week and a half, I've really felt the effects.
Getting that icky feel back.
Getting that icky feel back, yeah.
But yeah, no, it is really challenging.
I noticed that if we didn't finish brushing her hair on the right-hand side or brushing her teeth on the right-hand side, then she would have a meltdown. So that was the first thing. But those things were still manageable. It was when she turned 5 and she started to go to school that we realised she seemed to lose all of her enjoyment. She just had no zest for life. She's cartwheeled everywhere, or she won't walk around anything if she can climb over it. She's always been that, and she's still to this day that type of girl. But when she didn't want to go to school, didn't want to be outside of her room, that's when I started to think something wasn't sitting right. I thought that Sophie would go to school and instantly have friendships because as a younger child, she was all about friendships and having lots of people, but she didn't have any.
Bathroom was my safe place. I would hold in my Tourette's as much as I could, and because I was bullied for it and the teachers didn't understand it, I'd go to the bathroom, I'd let all my tics out, and then I'd have a fat cry. I would get so overwhelmed with my OCD that I would just drop to the floor and go in the fetal position and cover my ears because I was so triggered by everything. And this might even happen in public. For example, the teacher would draw a circle on the whiteboard and she wouldn't complete the circle. That would send me spiraling because I couldn't get up and take the whiteboard marker off her and finish that circle. It would result in these absolute breakdowns of me just violently like banging my head on the floor and punching myself. It sounds so silly, but when you're actually having a mental breakdown, your brain can't process what's going on. And so you just like, yeah, you just go crazy.
It was awful. With all the other things going on for Sophie, I think she will always say to you that the OCD was the hardest because it interfered with every positive relationship, every positive element. I remember she had like a cheapy little tablet, and I remember we got it for her for Christmas, and a couple of days later she stamped on it. Her OCD was going to make her do so many bad things, and because she had this thing that she really loved, so to stop it, she just had to destroy it. She went from being this real bubbly girl to not actually wanting to be alive. So it got to the point where For us as parents, we didn't have a choice. We had to take her out of school because we couldn't see that she was actually going to survive. She didn't have a childhood, Sophie, which as a mum is really, really hard.
Okay. Sorry, boys. I love performing with my band so much. It's like literally one big family. I enjoy the rehearsal periods more than the shows that I do with them. So much more because I'm hanging out with them and we're in the same practice space that we always go to rehearse, and it's just, yeah. Okay, perfect. Tonight is my night. Yeah. See you there. Shouldn't be playing these silly games, but I don't listen to what they say. And why does it feel like I'm out in space, fading away from the Milky Way? Day after day, I just can't explain. Am I insane? Am I insane? Am I insane? Am I insane? Yeah, that was really fun. Wait, let me think about. Yeah, it was really fun. Yeah, I had loads of fun, and there were loads of people there that I knew, and it was nice to perform with my band. We don't get the opportunity to perform together more than twice a year usually because we're all so busy. I love it so much. Like, I really enjoy all of their presence so much. Can you get the milk out as well?
Yeah.
Thank you. Trying to figure out how to get this out. Oh, yeah, never mind. Oh! Ben is such a weirdo, and that's why we get along so well. When we met, we were just like actually saying like your mum jokes and stuff.
Yeah.
And this was my test to see if he was like an asshole or a nice guy. And luckily he'd been drinking, so he found it really funny. And I went to like give him a hug to say goodbye. And then, you know how you do like the
Side hug. Side hug?
Yeah. Like, I gave him a hug, and then he genuinely, like, hugged me genuinely for 3 seconds. So that was really sweet. And then it turns out he went home that night and literally told his parents about me.
What sauce I look for?
Because we just met. It's so cute,
No,
though.
I said I've met this weird chick. She's just got a genuine heart. She's not like a fake person. Like, if she's a bit annoyed at me, she'll let me know. But I always know that she's telling the truth. Hey, Sophie.
Yeah.
Like, if I'm annoying her, she'll be like, "No, Ben, stop."
Don't.
Yeah. And some of that's the OCD thing, but
Yeah, definitely.
yeah. Yeah.
Like, one of my OCD things is like being blown in my face, and he'll just come up behind me and he'll just without.
Yeah.
And I'll turn around, a real angry face, and then we'll both laugh.
Yeah.
You still.
Oh yeah.
No, we'll do this first. I have a lot of OCD when it comes to like falling asleep in bed. So I have to create like this horseshoe around my head because I get triggered by Ben's breathing, and if he's like facing me, I'll wake up and I'll wake him up, I'll tell him to face the other way because I can't have his breath going towards me. But this is for protection, just in case he faces this way when I'm asleep. Growing up with this kind of stuff, you have friends that have the similar difficulties and diagnoses. And I had one friend, Lily, and every time we'd say goodbye after a hangout, we both had this OCD where we had to say goodbye last. She'd be all the way up the driveway and you could still hear like each other going, bye! It's so funny, eh? Like I have so many stories like that. But yeah. What are we doing now? What do I have to do? Get dressed?
Yeah.
Okay. There you go. Even when I'm going toilet, I'll ask Ben to come with me to stand outside because if it's late at night, I'll get distracted and I will forget to come out of the toilet.
Yeah.
So I'm always asking him to follow me. Like often if I have a shower, I need him to like be close by. Sometimes I even need him in the room. If I'm having a really hard day, I'll need him in the room to like, you know, okay, Sophie, body wash, shampoo, conditioner, face wash. That's just the reality of it. And yeah, I think some people might find that weird, but it's just how I have to work with what I got, you know? So yeah, what else was I saying?
Is it gonna go?
Okay, let's go. I'm not a gross person and it sucks and it's embarrassing to admit, but sometimes I forget to shower, I'll forget to eat, I'll forget to brush my teeth, I'll forget to brush my hair, I'll forget to change my clothes. Okay, why am I indicating it's my own driveway? I think I'm forgetting something. I forgot to brush my hair. That's fine. It is what it is.
You never brush your hair.
No, I don't. Yes, I do.
Yes, I don't.
Yes, I don't. And although it's embarrassing to admit, it's also so true, and I need people to know that. That's the reality, and that's what so many people are facing. I don't think people should be ashamed by it. It's just part of their condition. I haven't driven in so long. I've actually got, next week I've got my last driving lesson. I haven't had a driving lesson in like 2 years. I remember driving in the car and I had a real OCD thing about always going clockwise. And so my mum took a few left turns and kind of went anti-clockwise. And I literally could not handle it. I grabbed her steering wheel and I turned it right. And I like could have caused a crash, obviously. My Tourette's was really bad back then. Hello, how's it going? And my mum is actually partially deaf in her left ear because I was sat in the front always screaming and ticking. So I was sent back to the back seat.
What if people have like heard those rumors, or what if like...
It quite literally had no control. It was just, this is my OCD and I just had to go along with it. So what's kind of on my mind at the moment is the fact that I'm walking on wet ground and I'm thinking about all the hairs that I'm probably picking up on my feet as I walk. Hair is something that really triggers me. What I usually do is as soon as I've dried myself, I put my towel on the floor and I step on that. And I'm still so overwhelmed with the fact that my feet are on the floor. I can't even, oh my God, there's food on the floor. When I was 14 or 15, I wouldn't, if my OCD was really bad, I wouldn't be able to come in. I'm currently having a break from my meds, so I'm way more aware of it at the moment. But I push myself every time that I'm able to when I'm here, because the more I avoid the changing rooms, the harder it gets when I need to use them. Yeah. Yeah, so when I was about 10 years old, I started in the local theatre. Before that I did a bit of homeschool choir, which was really fun. And then I just got into the shows and I found out that I could hold a note. And then eventually booking gigs. I was singing for this World Disability Day. And this guy came along, Ash Rogers. I grind my teeth when I am around you. He came up to me after and he was like, oh, I love your music. Do you write any originals? I start to cry when I think about it. Unwanted emotions rolling in.
I didn't see her at first, but I just remember hearing this angelic voice. And as a musician, I was naturally drawn to that.
Am I insane?
Like, I could hear this fierce power that's really hard to generate for some people, but for her, it's easy. Usually it comes from people who are bigger, with like some big lungs, but to come from a person so slight is just incredible.
They keep telling me, thinking that I'm insane.
I was so impressed, and at the time I was doing a lot of music production, and yeah, we eventually met up, started to get to know each other. After a few weeks, we wrote Insane, which turned out to be her first song. And things just really started to go from there.
Tell me, am I okay? Don't tell me I'm insane. And then you came up to me afterwards and you were like, hey, I'm what's the word? Scouting? Is it scouting?
There's no way I said that.
Scout?
I
Yeah,
just
you
had a
said
cool
it.
jacket on.
You
heard
came up
what
all
you wanted.
professional.
Ah, yeah. Sorry if I look professional.
You came up all professional, and you were just like, "I'm scouting for this guy, this record, this record label or something like that." And I was like, "Oh shit!" And like, blood was pumping, adrenaline was going. I was like, "This is my make or break." That's crazy.
So lots happened since
That's
then.
crazy.
He got her on her journey and they released her first few songs with Ash. Ash and I used to go up and meet all of the industry professionals in Auckland to sort of make a plan. It got to a point where Ash and his partner were going off travelling and then just wanted to step back a little bit because he works full-time too. And it was a big commitment taking Sophie on at that point because she really had no idea. We had no idea about the industry. So there were a lot of hours put into her.
Are you keen to, or are you open to like finding more people to reach out to?
Yeah, I definitely need to do that. I think I kind of tried it and then it didn't go the way I wanted it to, and then I just forgot about it.
Because all it takes is one person, hey? It's
To reply, even
it's
if it
like a
takes a few
numbers
people,
game. It's
yeah.
like the sales tactic.
Yeah.
You know, you ask 100 people, and only one says yes, then that's a win. You know?
Yeah, 100%. I can't really use it as an excuse.
Yeah.
It's true. Ash still helps me with every release I have. I'm still getting mentoring from him at least once a month. So we have a cool, like, really ASD, like, friendship. I'm able to be really authentic around Ash, and I think we have the same humour, so it's great. My song, Under Your Spell, is about growing up with OCD. It's just about the challenges that I face.
Hello.
Hiya.
How's it going?
Yeah, good. How you doing?
I'm good, thank you. Nice to see you.
It's very raw.
Yeah, good.
I think it's just the most honest song that I've written, so I'm excited to share my story.
Let me know when you're ready.
Okay, yeah. I just wanna live, I just wanna feel heavy medicated, none of this is real. You put me on a leash, you kept me to yourself. I didn't even really have to think hard, I was just talking from experience. The first line is like, I just wanna live, I just wanna feel. It's so true, like I just grew up on all these different medications just to try and like control the severity of my OCD. I wrote it with Ben Malone. He started playing piano and I was like, yeah, this is like soppy and sad and perfect for it.
Are you dragging me through hell, and is there no one that I can tell my secrets?
I just wanted to live, like I just wanted to exist. And I never thought I'd get to a point where I'm at now, where I had so much control.
Yeah, amazing.
Cool,
That sounds great.
I love that. And you know what else which I thought would be really cool is like BB is like a, is there no one that I can tell?
Yeah, that's a great idea.
Quite hard to understand when you haven't gone through it yourself. And the way I explain it is it's the same with a fear. You're scared of a spider, right? Physically, you can go up to that spider and pick it up, but that fear is holding you back. Not just that, but when you get closer to that spider, aka OCD, you feel immense pain. And the pain isn't physical, it's the same type of pain as to nails on a blackboard, but like times 10. It's that really, really triggered feeling.
We'll give it a go.
That adrenaline rush doesn't stop and doesn't go away until you've done your OCD ritual, pushed that problem aside. But essentially, every time you do that, it makes it worse. What a lot of people do and what I taught myself was exposure therapy. And so essentially you're in that room with that spider and every day you get a little bit closer and a little bit closer until eventually you're face to face and eventually you're picking it up and you're doing what triggers you the most, because every time you practice that, it gets slightly less scary or slightly less painful.
Am I under your spell?
I don't worry about my OCD going back to how it was. I can't go back to it. I've since realised after having a break from my meds that I really need them and how important they are. I look back at it just so happy and grateful that I'm not in that place anymore. Like I can still feel those emotions, but like I don't get depressed because I'm so lucky that I'm where I'm at now.